Donald Trump was having a complete meltdown on Air Force One as he was heading back from West Palm Beach, Mar-a-Lago, which was the site of the child sex trafficking identified in the Epstein Files, and he was flying back to the White House. Donald Trump was asked questions about Epstein aboard Air Force One and about the fact that his name appears over 38,000 times in the files that have been released, the fact that his name on the unredacted files appears over 1 million times, and now we've learned there may be as much as 50 terabytes of documents not produced. That can mean hundreds of millions of documents haven't been produced. The most devastating documents have not been produced. So Donald, what's your response? He goes, I have nothing to hide. Literally, as he's hiding millions of files, he goes, I've been exonerated. The files show that I did everything right. Total exoneration. Total exoneration. You and your regime are at the heart of this cabal. Here, play this clip.
So Hillary Clinton said in an interview today that she and her husband are getting pulled into the Epstein matter to divert attention from you and that your administration has something to hide. What's your response to that?
I have nothing to hide. I've been exonerated. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. They went in hoping that they'd find it and found just the opposite. I've been totally exonerated. In fact, Jeffrey Epstein was fighting that I don't get elected with some author, a sleazebag, by the way. And I've been totally exonerated. No, they're getting pulled in, and that's their problem. I don't know, they're going to have to see what happens. But I watched her in Munich, and she seriously has Trump derangement syndrome.
Do you think that she should publicly testify?
You know, I've been totally exonerated on Epstein. And it's really interesting because they've been pulled in. Think of it. They've been pulled in. Clinton and many other Democrats have been pulled in, yeah.
Next, Donald Trump attacks Marjorie Taylor Greene, even though she's no longer a congresswoman. By the way, he's going into her district soon for a rally to attack her. Again, even though she's not a congresswoman, because she keeps speaking out against Donald Trump's cover-up of the child sex trafficking and Donald Trump covering up for the Epstein class, for the Epstein crew. That's Donald Trump's main constituency. Here, play this clip.
Tell us about your trip to Rome, Georgia on Thursday, your trip to Marjorie Taylor Greene's old district.
Well, we have a lot of people that want to take Marjorie Taylor Greene's place. And many candidates, and I have to choose one. And they say whoever I endorse is going to win. But we have a lot of good candidates who want to take her place.
Then a reporter tries to ask a question about another topic, like, are you worried, Donald, that you've stretched our U.S. Carriers or Air Force carriers too thin by sending them to the Caribbean and then to the Persian Gulf and then back to the Caribbean? Does that worry you? He's like, I'm not going to answer that. I just want to talk about Epstein. I'm exonerated. You understand? I'm exonerated. I'm not talking about like actual questions that president should be answered. I'm just going to lie and say I'm exonerated. Here, play this clip.
The USS Gerald Ford, which is sprinting from the Caribbean to the Middle East, is about to hit its 8-month deployment mark. Usually they're deployed for about 6 months or so. Is there any concern that U.S. carriers are being stretched too thin?
I'll answer the question later.
So a reporter tries to ask him another question. What about Cuba? You going to invade Cuba? I don't want to answer that. I'm not answering that. Here, play this clip.
You're warning Cuba to make a deal. What does that deal look like? What do you want them to do?
Cuba is right now a failed nation, and they don't even have jet fuel to get for airplanes to take off. They're clogging up their runway. We're talking to Cuba right now. I have Marco Rubio talking to Cuba right now, and they should absolutely make a deal because it's really a humanitarian threat. And we have a lot of great Cuban Americans, and they're going to be very happy when they're going to be able to go back and say hello to their relatives and do things that they should have been allowed to do for a long time. I'm very interested in the people that are here that were treated so badly by Castro and the Cuban authorities. They have been treated horribly. So we'll see how it all turns out. But Cuba and us, we are talking. In the meantime, there's an embargo. There's no oil, there's no money, there's no anything.
If a deal isn't made, would you consider an operation like the one in Venezuela?
I don't want to answer that. Why would I answer that? If I was, it wouldn't be a very tough operation, as you can figure. But I don't think that'll be necessary.
Okay, well, then a reporter says, let's talk about Gaza then. You claim we're in phase 2 of your Gaza peace plan, okay? So are you going to force Israel to lift the ban on foreign journalists so people can report more on what's actually taking place? And then Donald Trump's like, all types of bans. will be lifting soon. We've basically created peace in the Middle East. He says, no, you haven't. In the past week alone, dozens of innocent Palestinians have been killed. The prior week, on one day, you had dozens of Palestinians killed on one day alone, mostly women and children. We know that. We've reported that here on the MeidasTouch Network. Since the ceasefire has been announced, guess what? It hasn't been a ceasefire. Surprise, surprise. There have been hundreds and hundreds of innocent Palestinians killed. Also Hamas killed. Let me be very clear. Terrorists have been killed, and it's a good thing when terrorists are killed. But innocent Palestinians have been killed by the hundreds. And that's not a good thing. That's a horrific thing. And that needs to be addressed. And we have to stop buying the Trump regime's narratives. Oh, there's a ceasefire. Because he says it. There's no ceasefire at all that's actually taking place. Let's report on the facts. Here, play this clip.
Now that Gaza's entering phase 2, should Israel lift its ban on foreign journalists being allowed into Gaza?
We'll be lifting a lot of bans pretty soon. I think you're going to see everything opening up. Gaza, look, we have peace in the Middle East. Now, you have some flames here and there. But we essentially have peace in the Middle East, and that happened primarily when we did the B-2 attack on the potential nuclear power. They would have had a nuclear weapon within 1 month. If that happened, it would have been a whole different deal. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
Then Donald Trump attacks California Governor Gavin Newsom and AOC and Hillary Clinton in the same response. These are the deranged things that are on his mind as he has this meltdown aboard Air Force One. Play this clip.
You're going to have Ukraine talks tomorrow as well in Geneva with Witkoff and Jared Kushner.
Yeah.
What are you expecting there? Is there
Well, big talks. It's going to be very easy. I mean, look, so far, Ukraine better come to the table fast. That's all I'm telling you. We are in a position. We want them to come. And by the way, I watched AOC answering questions in Munich. This was not a good look for the United States. I watched Gavin Newsom answering questions in Munich, and this was a bad look for our country. These two people are incompetent. And at least Hillary's competent. She's just Trump deranged. She was so deranged. She is an angry woman. But I watched the other two speaking and answering basic questions. Look, Gavin has destroyed California. And AOC, I never heard her speak very much. And they started answering questions. She had no idea what was happening. She had no idea how to answer, very important questions concerning the world. But she can't answer questions concerning New York City either, because New York City is got some problems.
Next, Donald Trump is asked about Xi Jinping's threat that there will be serious consequences if the United States continues to provide arms to Taiwan. So, Donald, are you going to continue to provide arms to Taiwan? Are you going to answer a question in sentence form? Or are you just going to say, I don't know, we'll see, I don't know anything, I'll speak to him, we'll see. Donald Trump's response? I have a response, but I will see when I talk to him. Donald Trump's going to throw Taiwan under the bus. Do we have any doubt that he's going to throw Taiwan under the bus? Play this clip.
President Xi, in your talk with him recently, it warned about sending more weapons to Taiwan. What was your response to him? Are you going to send more weapons to Taiwan?
I have a response. I'm talking to him about it. We had a good conversation, and we'll make a determination pretty soon.
Tell us about your trip
We have a very good relationship with President Xi. In fact, I'll be going, I guess, in April.
Then a reporter says, what about the fact that everyone seems to know that Kristi Noem, lots of reports on this, and Corey Lewandowski are having an affair? They're flying around, gallivanting on the taxpayer dime, attacking their pilots for not carrying their preferred their blanket with them while they do whatever the hell they're doing in the planes, traveling the country and sending ICE and Border Patrol, Gestapo to torture and terrorize people. Does that bother you, Donald? Is that a bad look? He goes, I don't know anything about it. Yeah, you don't know anything about anything. And apparently you don't know what's in the files, or you do know and you're just a freaking psychopath, which you are. Here, play this clip.
On EHS, recent news reports have discussed the widespread belief that Kristi Noem and Corey Lewandowski are in a personal relationship. Is that a bad look? Recent news reports have discussed the possibility that Kristi Noem and Corey Lewandowski are in a close personal relationship. Is that a bad look, and do you think she'll be in the job much longer?
I don't know about that. I mean, I haven't heard that. But, I'll find out about it, but I have not heard of it.
Do you think?
Then, if this next clip sounds like deja vu, it's because this is what this guy does. He breaks things. He destroys things. So now that we're in another partial government shutdown, remember this line? It's the Democrats shutdown. The Democrats are shutting it down. No, how about you remove the masks from ICE and Border Patrol and have them stop terrorizing and killing Americans and throwing people in concentration camps? How about they don't wear masks like every other police force in the United States, that they wear body cams? And how about this brilliant idea? They use judicial warrants instead of administrative warrants. Here, play this clip.
Do you think that will you give your State of the Union speech if we're still in a shutdown next week?
Well, I think I would. Wouldn't bother me. I would give it, yeah.
How are the negotiations going?
With what? Which one? We have a lot of negotiations.
No, with the government shutdown.
This is a Democrat shutdown. This has nothing to do with Republicans. This is a Democrat shutdown. They're upset that the crime numbers are so good. They're very unhappy that the crime numbers are so good. They're very unhappy that there's a movement for getting voter ID. They want voter ID. The population, 98%, want voter ID. They don't want voter ID because they want to cheat at elections.
Then Donald Trump's like, well, I want you all to know the greatest leaders are joining the Board of Peace. Ooh, you know, like quite the opposite. No European countries are joining. Canada's not joining. Australia's not joining. Most countries are not joining the Board of Peace. It's mostly authoritarian regimes and you joining the Board of Peace as kind of quid pro quos where you're taking money. Well, you're putting in Qatari bank accounts. Here, play this clip.
The United Nations has great potential. They haven't lived up to the potential, but I think they might aid us a little bit. But we have the greatest leaders in the world joining the Board of Peace, and we'll be doing it in conjunction with, in some cases, the United Nations, and see if we can get the United Nations to get on the ball.
Then Donald Trump is asked about Delcy Rodriguez, the authoritarian leader of Venezuela, saying that Maduro's the legitimate leader of Venezuela. And Trump's like, I don't care that she says that. She can say whatever she wants to say. She's just saying that for her people. Here, play this clip.
Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez last week said that Nicolas Maduro is still a legitimate president and is innocent. I know you said the relationship is a 10, but I'm curious what's your thoughts on that?
I think we have a great relationship. I think she probably has to say that. I think politically maybe she has to say that. But the relationship with Venezuela, she's doing a very good job. And I fully understand that statement.
Then he attacks Governor Westmore of Maryland. He says, the pipes are bad in the Potomac. He's putting bad pipes in the Potomac. What's in this deranged person's mind? The same way he talks about California. The faucet isn't turned on. I had to turn on the faucet between California and Canada, which doesn't border each other. But go ahead, talk about the pipes, Donald. Here, play this clip.
The White House is a great place to be. But no, I don't like the job that Westmore's doing. I don't like the job he's doing in the bridge. I don't like the fact that he did that horrible, with the pipes and the Potomac. And he's not doing the job. They got to do it, and I'm gonna have to get the federal government involved in getting it fixed because he can't fix anything. Thank you very much.
Then he's asked if he got Melania flowers. He can't answer that question, but says she's a movie star. Her movie was so successful. Her movie has lost over $15 million, I think, in my opinion. Definitely it's lost tens of millions of dollars, and it was the worst movie ever. They put it in all these movies. They had all these right-wing groups. So you got to go see the Melania movie. And it did horrible. Play this clip.
Thank you very much. I didn't get to play today because I'm working on other things, very important things, much more important than golf. Thank you very much.
Melania for Valentine's, Mr. President?
She's on the plane. Melania's on the plane. We have a movie star on the plane.
Did you have any Valentine's Day plans with her?
Did I what?
Did you do anything for Valentine's with her? Did you give her flowers?
I better not tell you that. Goodbye, everybody. That's the toughest question. No, she's very, I'm proud of the fact, her movie's so successful. It's a tremendous hit. And she does a good job. She does some very consequential work. I think you're going to see in the end that she's going to go down as one of the truly great first ladies. When you see what she's doing with Russia, Ukraine, and so many of the other things she's doing, she's done a good job. She works very hard.
Then Donald Trump is asked about the UAE and Saudi Arabia in a conflict with each other. What's your solution, Donald, now that the UAE and Saudi Arabia are basically in a cold war with each other? And by the way, in certain locations, like in Yemen, there's kind of a hot war between them. You got any words of wisdom here? Play this clip.
Involved in the rift between UAE and Saudi Arabia?
No, I'm not. I would be. I would be. Well, I could settle it very easily. but they do indeed have a rift, and we can get it settled very easily. I settle wars. I settle a lot of rifts between countries. You've been noticing, right? That's an easy one to settle.
Again, so utterly pathetic. This is Donald Trump's meltdown on Air Force One. Look how close we are to 6 million subscribers, y'all. Hit subscribe. Help us get to 6 million. Seriously, try to subscribe right now. Send this video to as many people as you know to help us hit 6 million. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.